Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is basically talking about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, the newest recent episode, which I should actually got the name of it, but I think it actually dealt with Providence, the secret base. So, I got a lot of stuff name dropped in here, and let's go with the first thing, which is how many bases they have so far that they still have. Well, except for with this episode. So they do have the hub. The hub is good. The cube, we haven't seen what happened in the cube. The academy is completely destroyed. The Truscallion, we know for the fact that got destroyed, which is funny. It was first introduced finally to us. We got to see it, and then with the movie, it got destroyed. All right, so yeah, I said the cube. The fridge, which sadly with this episode, the fridge got destroyed, and we also have Providence. So I guess the tally is three, even though I will have to say maybe could be worse because you do have Glenn Talbot, whatever. Anyways, it's kind of funny. He actually was featured in the first Hulk film, which I couldn't really notice who he was because he looks different than what they portrayed him as. In the whole Hulk movie, he was portrayed as the rich guy, the one that was on General Ross's orders to come in and take the science division from, I forgot which labs that they were working on, but yeah. And he was also the person who was a total jerk. He went to Bruce Banner at his house when they actually had him quarantined, quote unquote, and he made Bruce mad, and he was the one that got kicked out of the freaking house. And he's also the one that you saw with freaking cast and everything, and he's like, I need a sample, along with shooting him with the missile that bounced off his head or chest, went behind him on the wall and blew up, and that's how he never got to see him again in that movie. Even though he wouldn't be in the franchise if it did thrive, which, yeah, I don't know. I'll at least say the Hulk movie was at least the first step to actually making Hulk good. With that said, so we have one of the Hydra bases we know about, even though we know that they have one in South Africa. Wait, well, East Africa. Yeah, they say East Africa, so that means that it's quote unquote near Black Panther. So could they actually give us a Black Panther? Maybe. But they actually have one in Havana, Cuba. And they basically did an undercover brother thing, which everyone who's seen Undercover Brother, it's the fact that they have a barber shop as a cover, and the elevator is actually the barbershop chair, which is kind of funny. It's a nice reference, but I bet they weren't referencing it at all. They were just figuring out how to make it look cool, and which was interesting. All right, let's see. Raina, I didn't actually do anything on her as a character. I'll give it one little second right quick to see if Raina actually rings anyone's bell. And let's see. Nope, it's just the cinematic universe. And there's one right here that has some weird looking lady. Oh, she's part of the X-Men. Wow. Other than that, I think chances are this Raina was completely made up, so there's really no connection to her with any other comic book person for right now. For right now, don't be crazy and be like, oh my gosh, but not right now. Okay, right now we don't really know her last name. We don't know if they're gonna do something that freaking SpiderMan did, which is mention Thomas Warren. Sorry, Thomas Warren. Oh, anyway, so we got Fridge, and Fridge talked about the slingshot program, and you would figure that this is basically a warehouse that they put all the Chitauri weapons that they hid, along with all the things that was in the first helicarrier, which was basically the phase 2 items. using Tesseract as a weapon. So chances are those are in there as well, because they look just like those cases that was in the Avengers. So chances are, yeah. And they also found an item that they found in Peru, which I should have actually looked that one up, but I'm interested in just connecting some things, not a lot. Alright, so anyways, Garrett as the clairvoyant, and also Ward. Yeah, so let's talk about that. The fact that Ward all of a sudden is Hell Hydra, but it seems to me that before any of that, he was kind of in his right mind, even though you kind of can see what was going on. I don't know. I think when he's away from Garrett, because I think he has some kind of psyche thing going wrong with Ward. Because, number one, he shot the AKA clairvoyant. I can see that as a cover. I can see it. On the other hand, you can also see that he was trying to protect Skye, even though technically they weren't even going to go that way, which I'm going to explain that in another part. But for right now, let's just talk about the fact that it seems like when Garrett and Ward is together, they have Garrett unlocks Ward's psyche or something. I don't really know, but I can tell you that one thing is that when it was the whole in the on the plane, basically it seemed to me that he was in a trance, more like he was acting himself. So could he actually be under mind control in a way? Maybe he's like a sleeper agent and it's like a certain word or some kind of meditation thing to unlock him to be on your team or something. Which I don't know. I mean, yeah, that part was kind of bizarre. I'm trying to figure out how exactly. Because it's just kind of. I mean, yes, I can see that all the stuff points to saying, yeah, he was on the bad guy's side the whole time, but it was kind of the idea of how come he was silent then? Yeah, how come he was very silent when he was on the plane? He could have just said, like, they could have made like a little conversation where he's not talking at all, and he could have said, you know what to do. Or you heard the lady. Yeah, like some little small remark. Maybe he mumbled something, and that's what basically took Ward to say, okay, yes sir. I mean, the whole previous episode where they went back behind them and they were talking, but we heard their conversation. I mean, I would have rather not hear their conversation and be more suspicious, saying, what are they saying? Instead of, yeah, we hear what they're saying, the fact that they think Victoria Hannah is clairvoyant. I mean, I rather enjoyed the idea of they maybe have a secret conversation in the background that basically you'll get the idea of, yeah, he's telling them something about the clairvoyant and the fact that it's Victoria Hand and they're under attack and stuff. But they could actually made it seem like that, but it turns out they were talking about Hell Hydra and the plan next, their next move. Which I do have to admit, the whole Skye give Ward the freaking hard drive worked out perfectly. He didn't even have to ask her. She just handed it to him, and there we go. I mean, wow, really? Yeah, with that said, Garrett as the clairvoyant, I don't really know, because even if he was the clairvoyant, he did mention a few parts in this episode where Ward saying, you know where you got your orders from. You know what to do. I mean, like, alright, if he's the clairvoyant, then how come he's saying, you know where your orders came from? I mean, wouldn't it have been like, I gave you the orders. I'm the head honcho here. You do what I say. No, instead it was that. So that means that I don't think he was really the head boss on this whole operation. I think he's just basically another scapegoat, just in case he gets shot. Just in case they're like, we going after Ward. So instead of being like, alright, we have the real person right here, you know, who really is a clairvoyant. And instead of being Yeah, so they basically have someone who's basically, yeah, he's basically Trevor. He's Trevor in all this. Yeah, I mean, he actually can act the part and does the part, and he's doing it. He's giving more contribution than Trevor does. And if you don't know who Trevor is, look at Iron Man 3. Trevor's basically the person who played the Mandarin. Well, the quote unquote Mandarin. He was the Mandarin stereotype for people to be like, we're angry. Yeah, so, anyways, I mean, I don't think he's clairvoyant. I still think that chances are it could actually be Rozola still. Because come on, he's a smart, evil genius. Do you think he actually is going to be stupid enough to be like, I'm just going to hang out here in this old brain right here? Yeah, this old stuff and everything. I think that would just most likely be his backup. And you can watch the previous video I talk about Zola and start getting his revenge and everything. Anyways, let's see. Next up is they talked about Johnny Horton, which is the Griffin dude. So Johnny Horton is a Griffin. Apparently, the short story of this all is that he was a street thug trying to make it big, and then he got incorporated into a secret organization, and eventually he got Baba da Bee Baba da Bop into Griffin. Which this Griffin might be different because he doesn't really look the part, but and you know, chances are that all the villains that left were taken down by S.H.I.E.L.D. themselves, so they can't really be truly super powered, if you understand what I'm trying to say. Like, for instance, Abomination, which, where is Abomination? Like, yeah, Abomination, which I think he's frozen somewhere. They didn't take Abomination down. It was the Hulk who took Abomination down. They were the ones who were able to seize him. But chances are, if you want him to show up in the series along with many other superpowered who had their own movie, you won't really get it. Yeah, you won't really get it at all. I mean, they most likely have a tight budget. In real speak, they have a tight budget, but when it comes to actually real talk in the series itself, you would figure the fact of, yeah, they're kind of lower level, they're lack in number. Chances are that means that anyone who they have to go against, they have to be kind of lower level too, as well. And you also have the other guy who he told, don't forget to follow your dreams. Which, I don't know, that's a reference to some power he has or some ability. I mean, I kind of went down and found that he could actually be Nightmare, who is a bad guy for Doctor Strange. But since, yeah, you need Doctor Strange to defeat him, and Doctor Strange hasn't been truly mentioned or done anything just yet, they most like it's not likely him, or it's just the fact that they just actually released the dude that would soon become Nightmare. But of course, it's not really proven he's Nightmare. He just said don't forget to follow your dreams, which he has something to do with dreams, I suppose. Or the fact that he's just telling him that you should go big and don't go for the little tiny things that you did to get stuck here. Alright, next one is the metal piece on his side. Yeah, so Garrett has a metal piece on his right rib cage. No idea, but since the base actually have a metallic gunner detector, or basically a defense mechanism that actually shoots metal things that it can detect, that means that Garrett can't even step foot to the Providence, because if he does, bam, shot, because he has the metal part on him, which that's going to come in handy, and that's foreshadowing of Garrett might be getting shot. Oh, man. Alright, there we go. Alright, next one is... Oh, let's talk about Providence, for instance. Providence actually was funded Stupid McAfee. Anyway, Providence was actually made after the Avengers. So the dude that was in there was after Avengers. So he hasn't seen what happened to Iron Man. He might have got it over the radio, but he hasn't actually was like nearby to see what happened to Iron Man. And he didn't see what happened to Thor. He didn't. Yeah, he most likely got someone to talk to him and tell him about it. But other than that, and also Captain America, which chances are, yeah, he already knows that. So most likely he is up to date on the thing, but he doesn't actually see it in pure sight. So it's no idea what's going to go on here, but who knows. Alright, let's see. The last part to actually talk about is Gravitonium, which Gravitonium is just the thing they used previously. It was like previously in one episode. I don't know if it actually was the time thing, which I don't think so. It's just the fact that that thing can actually manipulate gravity and change the gravitational law or laws of gravity or laws of, you know, physics like stuff. So that's going to be something that's going to be in a newer episode or a later episode. But yeah, that's basically it. Of course, we just basically have some spectacular Spider-Man stuff going on here. The fact that he actually had to release most or a couple of prisoners so it can keep Coulson busy. So that means that for now, when it comes to hunting them down, the only things they really have to worry about, even though they do have the Hydra threat, you basically have Ward that you have to say, oh my gosh, about. You also have not Deathlock. Is it? No, it's not Deathlock. Sorry, guys. You just have Mike Peterson. I'll say that. You have Mike Peterson to deal with too. And you have all the escaped convicts as well. So basically, he pulled a spectacular Spider-Man / I would say technically Batman Begins and Dark Knight Rises both have to deal with freaking prisoners getting released. Oh man, jeez. Yeah, so that's basically it. And the last part will have to just be for the girls here. So all you girl fans who think, hey, May's not good enough for Ward. I think Skye needs Ward. Skye and Ward is awesome. They will make a good couple. Yeah, way to go on that one. Because you kind of disrupt the story. And you also made Skye very open. Even though, yeah, he can actually still manipulate Skye. But the worst part is that he can actually do it within the fact that he likes her, she likes him. Or more the part of she likes him. And he's going to be able to use that to actually get the code they need. Because she was smart enough to put a code on there. But so with that said, you guys fucked up. Seriously. And the worst part is just the fact that the whole May and Ward relationship didn't really get resolved. I mean, yes, they did have that time in a cell, but it wasn't really that good enough of a closure point. And basically because they had to write it off, they basically said how Ward was just using May to get some information because she was the one that was a big threat to him. So yeah. That's just basically it. And he didn't really do anything emotional to her at all. I mean, it was like little teeny tiny, but it really wasn't true emotional whatsoever. So that's the good news. So now freaking Skye has to be careful of Ward, and no one really knows about Ward. And do you see how Ward took a beating just to cover up his tracks of being on the fridge, in the fridge facility? Man, that's just Hydra. Hardcore Hydra there. So yeah, there you go. And for right now, they did mention Cap is alive now because he said Cap knows that Fury's alive. So that means that basically they know kind of that Cap is alive. They just didn't tell him that he's in the hospital. Well, it depends if he's either in a hospital still or he actually says, let's get to work. So for right now, that's all we know. And they already hinted at some new episodes. The fact that you'll have Maria Hill come back. She's now working in Stark's industry, human resources. I mean, how can you guys forget the fact of truly read all the way through? It says Stark Industries, but down below it says human resources. I mean, is that really hard to actually read that part? Well, anyways, I'm just saying she's at human resources. So that's basically it. That's the whole entire thing I have to tell. There's really nothing else. I was going to try to watch the Declassified thing, but I wasn't able to because they made their website completely different. Oh, crap. I suppose I went to abc.com. Oh, well. And you have J2E, which I don't know if that's going to be important. Yeah, I tried just now to go on Declassified, and yet again I couldn't find it, so oh well. Chances are they will just talk about it. They won't actually go in depth saying, oh, Gravitonium goes for this, Johnny Thornton is the Griffin, and everything like that. You would actually get more like some... Alright, yeah, so basically we'll have that. They'll basically just get some behind the scenes stuff, most likely. So thank you for listening, and I hope this was very influential. There's still some things that we have to search for, but for now, this was hopefully good enough to actually be like, where's Gravitonium? What does Johnny Horton have to do with anything? And don't forget to follow your dreams, slingshots, the fridge, Providence, Garrett being maybe the clairvoyant. Thank you for listening, and peace out.